Hello, I'm Will Yeoman, and welcome to another episode of the Pod Well Travelled. I'm joined today by Travel Editor Stephen Scourfield and Aviation Editor Geoffrey Thomas. Later in the show, we're talking to Doug Skoog, who's from Freely. Freely, I'm going to read this straight from their website, is a travel insurance and safety app that allows you to tailor your policy as you go, ensuring you only pay for the cover you need on the days you need it. What's not to like there? So I'll be listening to Doug later on in the show. But in the meantime, gents, welcome back to the Pod Well Travelled.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to kick off with, we've got a lot to talk about today. Geoffrey, let's talk to you. You've just been recently returned from one of those luxury cruises that we all dream about.
Yes, well, this certainly was a dream. It's the lotto dream, the Powerball dream. and I told my wife not to get used to it because this is just a little moment in time that we've got. Great privilege to travel on Silversea's Silver Muse. Singapore to Perth via Bali and Lombok. An amazing experience. It's 7-star travel. Met a lot of West travel readers on board, which was fun. But yeah, from go to woe, an amazing experience. Attention to detail was extraordinary. It was at every touch point. It was perfection at every touch point, and just didn't want to get off. Sort of like I thought about gluing myself to the handrails, and I'm not going.
So Geoffrey, give us some specifics. So food. Give us an idea of the menus, for example.
The menus. There's about 9 restaurants on board. From the sort of more casual hot rock upstairs, which is a great big lava rock, which you cook your own. They put bibs on us, and they said, "What the hell? Do I look like a messy eater?" But then we started to have to cook our meal.
You should always eat a bib.
Well, this was a huge bib. Then you go to La Dame, which is this magnificent French restaurant with an exquisite menu. Then there's a Japanese, teppanyaki, and it just goes on and on. Indochine, which is a Vietnamese, Thai, Chinese fusion restaurant. Any palate would be delighted with what was served up. And
so you're eating. What else are you doing on board?
Well, we relaxed. It's not one of those ships where there's a 10-floor water slide. There's no rock climbing wall. There's no video arcade. There's no shopping mall, unless you want to buy a few diamonds, which we resisted the temptation of buying diamonds. But it's all about relaxation. And there are various activities. There's lectures through the day. We attended a fabulous lecture from a gentleman who worked for the New York Post, Washington Post, Terence Smith, who covered 5 presidents and 4 wars. Amazing lecture. In fact, we attended several lectures of his. And then also there's just simply relaxing by the pool, or there's card rooms, chess rooms, that sort of thing. It's old world cruising, if you like.
Right.
So you haven't told us too much about your room, though, as well.
The room was a suite. The baseline is a suite.
So to call it a room is to do it a disservice.
Oh, absolutely. It is about a 40 square metre suite. The bathroom is as big as ours at home. Comes with a shower and a bath and a magnificent marble vanity. Then it has a walk-in robe, which is bigger than ours at home. And so it just went on. And of course, they're all balcony suites. There's no, inside suites or anything like that. With a lot of cruise ships, you've got 2 companionways, and you've got inside cabins and you've got small outside cabins. This has one down the middle, and then you have both sides with these magnificent suites. So. And then at 4:00 in the afternoon, a butler knocks on your door and brings you in canapes and another bottle of champagne for afternoon canapes. That's the style.
Oh, we should talk to the boss here about organising something like that for us every day.
Oh, don't you get those?
Now really? The truth comes out.
I'll make sure you're on the list for tomorrow. It's an interesting thing with Silversea. Silversea is probably one of the standout examples in my mind of the sort of contrast or comparison between price and quality. So often travel is, well, quite often travel is bought on price.
Yes.
And then there's add-ons and so on. But buying quality where you pay more up front, which Silversea is a quality product that you pay for. But I think by the end of the cruise, you feel that you've had value. So you get value from quality.
Yeah, look, absolutely. And in fact, I spoke to several travellers, as I mentioned, who are West readers, and one in particular, Michael Moore. This was his 6th Silversea cruise, and he said, look, the value's there because there are no add-ons, whereas other cruise lines, there's always add-ons. At the moment, I know that a lot of cruise lines are giving you those add-ons for free to induce you to go cruising, but typically there are a lot of add-ons. And for instance, the shore excursions, most of the shore excursions were free. There were a couple that had a premium on them because they were particularly special, but most were free. And then all the wines were free. If you want a particular bottle of something special, yes, you had to pay for it. But the quality of the champagne, it wasn't sparkling. It was champagne as the baseline, Piper Heidsieck. So I mean, all the Sauvignon Blancs, for instance, were the standard were New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs, Marlborough Sound, that sort of thing. So when you start adding up. And I spoke to another reader of ours recently who went on another cruise line, and he said, never again, I'm going back to Silversea because of all the add-ons.
Yeah, there's the add-ons, and also I think particularly at a time and it's still a bumpy time to travel, if you go on a premium holiday and you end up at the end of that holiday with nothing that you can really point a finger at and say, well, that was, substandard, then you've got value because... I'm just picking a number here, but I'd say at the moment you could do a big trip and you could come back and go, well, there are half a dozen things that really kind of didn't stack up or didn't meet your expectations. That's pretty much how it is at the moment. I mean, I've just experienced some of these things myself, and you come back and go, well, it's a difficult time to travel, and you can justify it, but...
Well, yes, and in writing about this, which we're publishing, I think January the 7th, will be the features on this cruise, I was looking for something that I could say, well, look, this wasn't quite right, or this wasn't quite right. I couldn't fault it. I simply could not fault it at all. And the different readers that I spoke to that read our travel section, they couldn't fault it either.
You've got a big problem, Geoffrey. You've got
I'm
a
not
problem at
critical.
home.
I'm not critical enough.
You need a bigger, better bathroom. It's going to cost you a fortune this cruise. Now you've got home
and Christine said, I'm going to start calling you by your middle name, James, because it's more in line with the butler service that I want from now on.
I think you've
look, an amazing experience, an incredible privilege to have the opportunity, and wow, what a product!
Wow.
Sounds amazing. And it's interesting because obviously our other colleague, Moen Johansson, was on a very different kind of cruise, Pacific Islands, so he'll be talking about that at some point in the near future. It's been
interesting for me sort of as travel editor in the middle because, Geoffrey was off doing one style.
Yes.
Moen's, as you say, is with NCL Norwegian Cruise Lines in the Pacific.
And you had just come back from
I've just come back from Antarctica
as well.
Yes, so, I mean,
extraordinary.
Even those 3 trips are emblematic of the complexity of the cruise industry now. That as we view travel with, caravanning and cruising and whatever else you think of, really the cruise has developed to a point where it has all these sub categories that are now mature industries in themselves. Expedition cruising, luxury cruising, family cruising are their own categories. Yes, and that's something that we stay across, as you've said, Will.
So why don't we change tack now and talk about flying and talk about Bali?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because there's been some discussion about the cost of flying to Bali, particularly from where we are in Perth in Western Australia. But it prompted me to look at other states in Australia flying to Bali, and there's been a lot of discussion about the cost of that. But on Monday, we're on Wednesday. Now, on Monday, we booked tickets on AirAsia to Bali on Saturday. I'm going up on Saturday for 2 nights, pre-Christmas, and it was $1,200 return, which I don't think is outrageous.
It's not unreasonable, no.
Well, I don't think it's outrageous. It's pre-Christmas with 6 days notice. I think that's pretty good. I mean, considering also that Jetstar was sold out for the day that I wanted to go, which was very specific. So I think that's pretty reasonable actually. So $1,200 return. Geoffrey's been doing some work on this too, though.
Yes, look, certainly over Christmas, as we know, every Christmas prices spiked. That's nothing new. They've spiked a bit more because of the shortage of aircraft. I mean, normally we used to have 10 or 12 flights a day out of Perth. Airlines like Garuda haven't come back yet. And so there's a capacity problem. So there are some higher fares. And some of the fares that have been quoted are segmented fares. So they fly from here to Singapore with one airline, then Singapore to Bali with another. And, of course, now you've got 2 high fares, and so the price goes up and up. But if you do 2 things, if you look into February, March, April, the fares plummet right back down again. It's a matter of planning ahead. You've really got to plan ahead. And the other thing you can do, which we discovered, was get onto some wholesalers. And we know who they are: the Flight Centres, the Webjets, or just a good travel agent. And there are great packages combining the airfare with the hotels, because there's plenty of hotels available up there, and they're really good value. And so, it still can be an affordable holiday, not as cheap as it used to be, but it's still good value.
Can I just
Sure.
shoot off on a slight tangent, because it's a subject that's been coming up for us with readers. Sorry, Will, I'm taking this off a different direction.
Please.
But having just come back from South America, I've been contacted a lot by readers asking about WAMOS.
Oh, yes.
Which is the contractor for the Air New Zealand flight. Well, in our case, between Perth and Auckland, the direct flight. But I think is that the only one?
That's the only one they're doing. Yeah, it's a Spanish charter operator, which usually is they usually do, and they still do, charter flights to cruise lines. And join a cruise line in the Canary Islands or the wherever, and cruise lines use them, and they've chartered an aeroplane from them through till I think sometime in January, February, when it'll be returned, because Air New Zealand are waiting for more aeroplanes to come back from the desert.
Well, it was very good.
Was it?
Very good. I mean, I was, new plane, great crew. It was Air New Zealand catering and so on anyway. Big, light, airy cabin, nicely done. Everything was nicely done. So I was very, very happy. And I really, I was as happy or happier than I was on the Air New Zealand flight on the way over, because I was just in that changeover, so I could compare the two.
Yes.
And look, given the choice, I'd probably go the WAMOS.
Yeah. Well, it's in the configuration of the aeroplane. It's an A330 and it's 242. So if you get the 2 on the side, which I prefer, whereas on the 787 it's 333.
Yeah.
So
less middle seats. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got less middle seats, which I hate those middle seats. So from that point of view, when I had a look at the product myself when they first announced it, and I thought this looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's
pretty good.
It was really good. So
they did a fair bit of research, because they knew they had a problem coming up for Christmas. So quite some months ago, they sought a charter operator with an aircraft.
Well, it was a good fix. It was a good fix, and I say just because I've had a fair bit of contact from people going, they've changed me to this. I'm flying with WAMOS. Is that any good?
Yeah, the folks that are a bit upset are the folks that have purchased premium economy.
Yes,
because they don't have a premium economy product, and therefore they have to go back to economy, and that's kind of puts them a little bit out of joint, understandably. But it's only a short-term thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I reckon now's a good time to go to Doug at Freely, because, of course, through all these discussions, insurance is such an important element.
Oh, critical.
And Freely has a slightly different take on insurance, particularly with the flexibility, the flexible nature of it. So let's listen to Doug now, but don't go anywhere, guys, because I want to get back to you to talk more broadly about travel insurance. Okay, so on the line now, I've got Doug Skoog from Freely. And Doug, welcome to the Pod Well Travelled.
Oh, thank you. What a pleasure. Thanks so much for having us.
No, it's very exciting. And we're always keen to see how people are using new technology in particular. And you know, how people have, and the travel industry has really seized on apps. And so this combination of using this kind of app with a premium insurance offering that's so flexible, which Freely obviously provides, is amazing. So I just would love to start with, if you could clearly explain to our listeners in simple terms what Freely is and how it started and how it works, and you know, lastly, what makes it so innovative.
All right. I'll try and unpack that. And
in 30 seconds, please.
Yeah. I know. Well, what I'll do is I'll start with what it is, right? And I think probably the simplest way that I like to talk about it is it's dragging travel insurance and safety, because there's quite a few safety features with what we do, into the 21st century. Yes. I was just trying to sort of actually, sorry, William, should we start that again?
No, please do. It's absolutely fine.
So do you want me to kick off from the end of your question?
Yeah, that'd be great, actually. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's basically travel insurance and safety for the 21st century. And, you know, what I might do is talk a bit about how it came about and how it works, and then that might help listeners understand what it does and why it's unique. And really, it started off with quite a few of us come from the insurance and more broadly industry and the travel insurance industry. And we certainly noticed that a lot of industries have been quite heavily disrupted.
Absolutely.
But insurance was one of those that there was still a lot of work that could be done. And we started doing quite a lot of research really into what customers or travellers make of insurance, specifically travel insurance. And we found out some things that were no new news, but to us at least. But at the time, people were very skeptical about the notion of insurance, and certainly quite a few of the companies that sell it. One of the things that sort of resoundingly came through was just how inflexible travel insurance is. I mean, I think a lot of your listeners will probably empathise with the fact that some of us book and plan every detail of our holiday or trip, but a lot of us don't. and things come up, and why can't travel insurance and safety flex as your itinerary and plans and maybe even your destination does, right? So that was a key thing that we found out. And although this has changed because of COVID, which I can maybe unpack in a bit, but at the time, the vast majority of people failed to see the value in travel insurance, right? And I think, the net was the best way you could probably describe it was a begrudging holiday tax, right? You should have it, probably. You don't really know what it's going to do for you, and you just hope that it all works out if something does go wrong. And so we took all of that on board, and we wanted to change the travel insurance space, and we wanted to go from that begrudging holiday tax to a really useful and valued travel companion. And you started your question with there's a lot of apps in the travel space, and I think technology's changed travel, fundamentally in so many different ways. But one of the ways is we all have smartphones now, or the vast majority of us, right?
Indeed.
And generally those smartphones are connected. And so you can offer people a far superior experience and offer them far more functionality served through an app that you just couldn't do on web, right? And much less so, the traditional route, which is, you email the policy and then you've got to search through that. So we really took that on board, and like I've probably been hinting at a couple of times, there's obviously the travel insurance component of what we do, but there's also some really nifty safety features, and I can take a moment to walk you through those.
Oh, please do. Yes.
Yeah, and I think more broadly though, so we took all of that. We knew we wanted to evolve travel insurance from just a project holiday tax to something that really can add value to our travellers. But we also wanted to just create a business that's doing more for the world, which is really important. It's like within the DNA of all freelancers, is what we call the team, right? Which is, how can we use business to make the world a better place? And, over the last year, we've done a lot in that space, not nearly enough, but there's a lot more on the roadmap. Just to unpack that, we've one of the first real commitments we made, and this was before we'd made any profit, was we joined 1% for the Planet, which means we contribute 1% of all our revenues, not just profit, but all our revenues, to worthy organisations around the world that are trying to make the world a better place. And all these organisations have been pre-vetted, etc. And we're building relationships with organisations and charities through that network, but also independently. We recently joined the Adventure Travel Conservation Fund, which does a lot of great work.
Sure, yes.
And we've got a campaign on at the moment where with every policy you buy, we are buying, through a third party, helping buy back parts of the danger. So I think net is how can we contribute to a better world? But that also stems through everything. We're becoming carbon positive, hopefully within a month, and the list is really endless. So definitely, it's kind of a long-winded way of going. Our intent wasn't just to really transform how travel insurance and safety can work for people, but then how do we use our success to make the world a better place? And those initiatives that I've just sort of cursorily spelled it out, they're just beginning, and we've got a lot of very exciting things in the works, not least how people can connect to organisations doing really valuable work in the destinations they're going to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, we're a very new company, and we've got a lot of ambition in that space.
No, actually, while you're saying that new company, I just want to reassure people. I've noticed that you're underwritten by Zurich, which is obviously a very trusted name in this space. So it's worth underlining that, isn't it? You're not just some sort of fly-by-night startup or anything weird like that.
Yeah. Thank you, William. Actually, we sometimes forget that part, right? Which is so important because we're wholly owned and underwritten by Zurich. So although we are. I'd say the way we like to talk about it is very independent of, yet independent on Zurich. So we have a very globally well-established and well-recognised company that underwrites all of our policies. So for any listeners that are thinking we're fly by night, we're not. We're there, and we've got some really serious backing. So thanks for reminding me of that.
No, absolutely, no problem. Yeah, but look, I mean that is quite extraordinary. Everything you said responds to the moment. How a lot of companies, and not least in the travel industry, are really looking to clients' concerns around the environment, around global warming. All these issues are actually becoming much, much more important to people, and you're kind of crazy if you don't respond to that, aren't you?
Oh, totally. And it's. I mean, I think as people that love travel and experiencing the world, I think it's perhaps even more present to us what we need to work really hard at conserving. And that's not just the places we're traveling to, right? It's the people in those places. Another part of the business which we work really hard on with our underwriters is how can we make our policy more inclusive? So we have inclusions for depression and anxiety that aren't found commonly as standard in 3D policies, that aren't, certainly aren't standard in most travel insurance policies. So it's kind of a very broad approach.
Now, I mean,
that's not just,
Yeah, no, sorry. I was just saying. So, while we're talking about this, and just, I always like to have the website open if I'm talking to a particular person. I love the very clear way that you've articulated what Freely does. You've got three areas: the essentials, the trip extras, and the daily boosts. And I think what's most fascinating about you guys is the daily boosts. And it says here you're talking about you're wanting to add cover to your plan as you go. If you've got a last minute ski trip or something, or want to rent a scooter on the fly, do it with boosts. And I find that really interesting how you can adapt on a day by day basis. Yeah,
well, thank you. And that was that was really a world first, which is how can we do this as close to near real time as possible. And we're still working with our underwriters in terms of how much more we can close that gap. But currently, you turn it on the day before you need it, and you will have cover the next day, right? And we're trying to close that gap at the moment. But that concept, and maybe I can unpack it in terms of an example, right?
Please do.
So maybe a bad example, but I'll say we're going to Colorado. And the way most travel insurance works is if you're going to Colorado, you pick one of a couple of policies, and then you work out what extra you need. So will you be renting a car, or will you be going skiing? And you generally pay for that car rental excess or that ski cover for the entirety of your trip. And we thought, how can we change that? So the way Freely works is you, even before you leave, you can obviously get cover for Colorado, which is what we call the essentials. But then say you only need a car rental for 4 of those days. You can pick which 4 days. You're not paying for the whole 2 weeks. Right? You're only paying for the cover you need on the days you need it. Say ski cover. So you're going to Colorado, you hire a car for 4 days, and you think you might want to go skiing for a weekend. Well, then you just add the ski cover for the days that you need it. Say you arrive in Colorado and the snow's terrible, right? But it's going to be better in a few days. You can remove the ski cover you put on the Freely policy, and you get refunded straight away, right? And then if you want to go skiing at some different dates, you can add it. So it really adds a great deal more flexibility with not only before you go, how you can actually get a policy that's right for you, and most importantly, only paying for the cover you need on the days you need it. But then there's that, like you said, there's those boosts. Things come up, right? Different things happen. And you've now got the flexibility to turn them on when you need them. Or if you find out you don't need them, you can turn them off, which saves you money. So, that type of functionality was, genuinely well first. And we're only getting started in terms of how much further we can take that sort of initiative.
Oh, look, Doug, that sounds absolutely amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And do you want me to? One thing that because you posed a question about like the innovation, right? And I think innovation is very rarely it's something that's net new, right? And it really has some net new features like the turn on and turn off boost. But generally, innovation is this combination of existing or emerging technologies brought together in a way that's not been experienced before. And one of the examples I like to use is the Gutenberg printing press. So the press existed. It was a wine press originally. The templates, the letters that you'd use to print with, they existed, but they were in wood, and that meant that they wear out very fast. And around the time of Gutenberg, meteorology had progressed such that you could make those out of metal. And then paper had evolved a lot by that point, and then also had literacy. And so all of those things came together, and Gutenberg was the one that then combined those things into the printing press. And the rest is history. And
of course.
I wouldn't want to put freely on the scale of the Gutenberg printing press, but the same concept applies. So we've taken a lot of things from different industries and combined them into something so that our travellers can have an end-to-end experience. And what we mean by that is you can buy, you can change, you can talk to customer service through the app. I mean, in the travel insurance space, if I paint a picture for you, say, with most insurers, you get your policy. If something goes wrong, you then need to, say you're on holiday, you need to either somehow work through your emails, find the policy number, then work out what number to call, then call someone, then sit in the call tree, and then maybe get the problem dealt with, right? With Freely, we've one of the little things is we brought chat into the app. So you're on holiday, something goes wrong, or you've even just got a question for us, right? You can chat to us. You just put it in chat, and you can do that while you're sat at the pool, and we'll get back to you. You don't have to wait in the call tree. We know who you are. We know what your policy number is, what your name is.
Incredible.
We know where you are on holiday, right? So even something as simple and as nowadays as ubiquitous as chat, you put that in the context of travel insurance and within the context of the Freely offering, and suddenly it offers a lot of, convenience to people, I think, not least.
Yes, yeah.
Sorry, I feel like I'm rabbiting on a bit.
No, please. That's amazing. Look, as you say, convenience and just the use of bringing together new existing technologies in novel ways to provide a solution to a very specific and very modern problem, I guess, in our respect. And this is what Freely seems to do, which is incredible. Before I forget, sorry, we keep talking about the website, but we haven't given people the website's URL, which is freely.me/au. So that's your starting point, everybody.
Thank you, William. That's two things. I mean, I should really be shot as a head of marketing, right?
No, absolutely amazing. No, honestly. Now, look, Doug, I'm going to have to finish, if that's all right with you, because I'm about to get kicked out of the studio again. It's incredible how busy this place is. But it's been great talking to you. I am really excited about this, and I'm going to have to give this a test run on my next trip for sure. Is there anything else you'd like to add to leave listeners with?
No, I just wanted to thank everyone for their time. If you've got any questions, you can reach out. We'd love to answer them for you and give Freely a go. Oh, one last thing. I think I sort of alluded to it, and if I'm allowed to give us a bit of a shameless
Please
plug,
do.
but at the moment we've got our summer campaign running. That's 15% off all Freely policies, and with every policy sold, we're contributing to the Daintree to help buy back
Beautiful.
the Daintree and turn them over to conservation efforts. So check us out. Got any questions? We'd love to hear from you, and thank you all for your time and listening to me rabbit on about travel insurance.
No, look, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's a fascinating topic, and Doug, look, thanks so much for being on the pod. Well travelled, and congratulations on a great product.
Thank you. Thanks, William.
Okay, Doug.
Thanks
You take
so
care,
much
mate.
for your
Have
time.
a lovely day. Okay,
Have a great
now.
day. Bye.
Yes, well, there we go. That's really interesting. And I think one of the things I really love is the embrace of new technology, because this goes well beyond insurance, doesn't it? The use of apps for so many different elements of our travel.
Absolutely.
It's extraordinary.
Absolutely. That My Plan, My Flight, all these ticketing apps, where your whole itinerary comes in. The trip I just did through South America, Antarctica, that all came through an app, the itinerary, and as it was being changed and updated, everything was in there together. We'd be familiar with this, but really,
Indeed.
the paper thing's just gone because you couldn't keep up with all those changes. And particularly at a time when there's a lot of changes, rescheduling, cancellations, postponements, whatever it is going on in travel. That the apps really kind of pump those changes through.
I was going to say too, though, like managing your bookings and so forth, those kinds of things. I think there's also a level of confidence now from people who are using the apps that there maybe wasn't in the early days, where people think, well, hang on, how certain going to be that this is actually going to secure my booking or my hotels or my insurance or whatever.
I absolutely agree with you. And I think part of this, and we, kind of talk and write about this a lot, particularly with Moen's help. It's about the only help it gives us, really, is he's not here, so, we all know the rules.
We know the rules. If you're not here, you're fair game. You're fair game.
But Moen's particularly leads, and you do well in keeping us up with it, that keeping up with phone technology, keeping your phone refreshed, buying a new phone, not feeling begrudging about that. You get a better camera, you get, operating systems, cope with the operating systems, cope with all this stuff. You really got to keep up. And this is fresh for me because I was helping someone yesterday set up their new phone. And I heard myself say yes, and I wish I'd said no.
So you're very mindful of
because they're so far behind.
Yes.
Years and years behind with their phone and their tech. I just think, I do encourage people to keep up because this is the future. You will need all of this.
Well, actually, this is the present.
Well, this is the present and the future. And if you get 3 or 4 years behind with your phone and your tech, I just feel like it's going to be terribly
Look, there are actually
difficult.
some things you cannot do.
Yeah,
you actually cannot do.
That's correct.
Without these apps or without a phone. But can we just switch to finish the show, talk about insurance more broadly? Because
sure.
We all here write so much about this very important element of travel, and particularly with the advent of COVID and so forth, it's become just extraordinarily important, more so than ever, perhaps.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's absolutely critical. I mean, I would not step 1 foot outside this state without insurance. It's just peace of mind. It's just absolute peace of mind, and that's, it just takes the stress away. So
I must say,
Sure.
absolutely with you, Jeff, is that I've also changed the phrasing because we've always talked about, you need travel insurance, but I absolutely always write now that you need good travel insurance.
You need, yes.
The fine print is all of a sudden, the fine print.
The days of buying on price and thinking, I better get some travel insurance, and you just look for the cheapest, and it's just gone. We need good travel insurance. You need to actually look at what is being offered. You need to pay premium. If you've got to pay more, pay it. You need good travel insurance. It's so crucial. I was just having a conversation with one of our readers, one of our audience, Alaska cruise, Inside Passage. His wife gets pneumonia, has to be offloaded in Juneau, taken to Anchorage, intensive care.
Christ.
Then she's flown back to, flown back to Vancouver when she's recovered enough. Then she needs an assisted flight home. $500,000. They'd have lost their house.
Yeah, incredible.
And someone's got to pay the bills.
Indeed.
The hospitals are all sending them bills going, well, here's the 200 whatever it is for the intensive care, 10 days, blah, blah, blah. Someone's got to pay the bill. If you haven't got good travel insurance and they wriggle out of it, you've got something that allows a company not to pay that.
You've got a problem.
You've got to pay the bill.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to have to sell your house. That's
almost like you've got to declare bankruptcy.
It's a
just
real,
extraordinary, isn't
real
it?
life scenario from now.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that just underscores the importance of
It's
good
frightening. It's
travel
frightening.
insurance.
So we sort of think, kind of get away with it. But I say in that case, this chap, for 12 months, all these bills are coming in. He's getting lawyers' letters and this and that, waiting for the insurance company to say, yes, we'll cover it. Thinking, I'm just going to have to sell the house and we'll have to rent. That's real scenario.
Well, on that sober note, gents,
Hey, happy days.
we're going to finish the show.
Sorry about that.
No. Look, it's vital, and I don't want people to forget it. So that's the last thing they hear from us.
So if you're choosing between a $300 and a $400 policy, and the $400 is that much better, pay the $400
without question.
Absolutely, definitely.
Which I'm just going to do myself after this for some insurance.
Good-o. Okay. Well, coffee o'clock, as I always like to say. Thank you again for joining us on the Pod Well Travelled, and good luck with all your future endeavours and travels, and we'll catch you again pretty soon.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you.